turned 19 in Iraq, and at age 19, I had an M4, I had a pistol on my hip, I had a grenade, and when I walked up and down the streets of Iraq, I was like the law, more or less,
Yeah.
If somebody looked at us funny, we had full right to go over there and just start questioning them and ask them, hey, what are you doing? Why are you counting us? Why are you counting the number of people that
Yeah.
just... Now I'm back home, and hi, I'm Jack Lynch. I go to Salem State. I felt useful. I felt like I was actually accomplishing something with my life over there.
Yeah.
As weird and as little sense as that might make, I felt like I was being a good Marine. And that means, I'm not gonna lie, there's been nights where I've been trying to go to sleep and I'll just lie awake in my bed thinking about Iraq. For hours. Looking over at the clock, it's only 12. Look back, it's 3:30, I'm like, just go to bed, and I can't.
You've lived in a hot zone with somebody for 15 months, and every day you have to say a prayer hoping that today is not the day, or knowing that the person standing next to you would lay their life down for you the same way, and even though you guys just met. So for me, it's a family. It's not, I to this day would die for them. Because of everything I've got going on, I've developed slight OCD. So my psychiatrist says that it's the loss of control. And because I was so used to being overseas and everything was, and now being back home, because I feel like my world is kind of just in chaos, that whenever I feel like my house, everything, if you move something, we're gonna fight. Like, because especially if I go to look for it and it's not where I put it, I literally get so angry. And it's insane how angry I get. And it's even at the grocery store, like everything gets lined up on the checkout belt, and if somebody puts something, like, why would you do that? Fix it. I'm very, and she said it's because of the control issues.
Get a bad rap sometimes.
Oh, we absolutely do. My old armory used to be right outside of Northampton, Massachusetts, and if you know anything about that area, it's a very, very, very liberal area. And I couldn't tell you how many dirty looks I've gotten. I couldn't tell you how many times I've been called names, and I've been yelled, like, driving by and my window's down, and I just hear people yell shit at me out there. And it's kind of sad. I understand the anti-war movement, and I respect their side on it. Some things I do believe, though, are necessary. And trust me, there's a saying out there, it's a soldier above all who prays for peace. And granted, I would love for it to be over, just because, solely for my own selfish reasons of I'm sick of seeing young people get killed. Like we've talked about earlier, don't agree with the war and don't agree with our motives and why our country has gone there. And to them I say, especially with my job, I find bombs, I pull them out of the road so people don't get killed. And my main motivation for deploying, and I want people to know this, my main motivation for deploying was to keep people alive, regardless of who they are, whether they're civilians, whether they're Afghan army, whether they're our own coalition and our own forces and the other countries that have come to Afghanistan to help us, NATO forces. That's why I deployed, not for anything else. I was motivated to go after 9/11 for revenge, I guess you could say, but getting over there and seeing all these things happen, I was there to take care of people. That's ultimately why I really wanted to be.
And when it came down to my first deployment, RFI issue, that's when they had just started issuing out sports bras and underwear to females. And then they cut our clothing voucher down to like $800. And now they're just, because it's like females, a lot of us that are actually complaining about the uniform, because I'm a small person. I actually get into a small uniform and I still have to use the drawstrings because it will fall off of me. And so those are problems that we had.
So they just didn't accommodate you guys. You just had to deal with it.
We had to. Made on down to the vest. I remember when we got the new vest, the smallest they had was a small. How about I'm short? I'm like 5'2", 5'3", and on top of that, you handed me a small vest that can possibly be a medium. So that's almost like a dress on me. Yeah, so I'm like, no, I can't. No, I can't even. No, I'm not wearing this. I said, y'all gonna get me killed over there. Take this back. No, I don't want it. Give me the old vest. I'll take extra small or small and the old vest. They was like, well, we don't discarded those. I said, well, I'm not going then, because you're gonna get me killed. And they said, well, we can order a small, extra small vest. And I was like, yeah, that would be better. And it was like about 8 of us that needed extra smalls. And we had to wait. And we got those like, I think, 2 days before it was time for us to leave.
Oh, that's unreal.
Oh yeah. See my anxiety and my depression. They tell me, oh, you use that as a crutch, or you using that as an excuse. And no, it's a part of who I am now because I have it. You don't understand it if you're not trying to.
Yeah.
So you're just making false accusations.
Do you feel like people just don't understand mental illness, or that they just don't want to understand it? And
You
they
got ones who want to understand it but scared to ask and talk about it. Then you got ones who don't care and just don't give two craps about it and be like, oh well, that's you. You need to get that fixed. That you need to work that out type deal. Then it's not something you can fix or work out. It takes years upon years for that to happen. Especially if you have stuff built up from like before and then turn around that's got added on. That's going to take years of resolving.
I'd have to say that through all of it, it's changed me as a person. I think just to be a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more understanding, a little bit more culturally sensitive than had I never experienced these things. People that I was I served with and I'm still associated with, I would say it's a mixed bag. You have I've actually had quite a few friends that didn't end up in good spots. Either they were physically wounded, and that's just a risk that's associated with the nature of the business. But mentally, I've had 4 or 5 guys that I've served with that have committed suicide, and that's a big problem. Because, like I mentioned, there's things that change in you that you don't necessarily recognize right away. And unless you address those issues, then it really gets away from you. And it's unfortunate that has to happen. Or it doesn't have to happen, but it's unfortunate that it does. There's a lot of misperceptions out there about the military community and the veteran community as a whole. Not all of them bad, some of them are good. But I think that in general, especially in a university environment or a school environment, when you're taking classes with with veterans and different people, we spend a lot of time understanding people, trying to understand other people's cultures and everything else like that. But very seldom do we look at the person sitting next to us and try and understand them better. So I think that things like this really go a long way to help.